welcome to the I almost said the Global News for Entrepreneurs. You can see this is not the space that I normally fall into. Hello, welcome to the Coffee Shop Show Conversations. Great to have you with you this evening, and a shout out to everybody tuning in live on YouTube right now. Hey, if you have a question around our topic for this evening, drop it into the live chat and we'll do a shout out for you. And yes, it is a different face today who's doing the Coffee Shop Show, because Peter and Esteem are currently a little bit ill and recovering from COVID. So as we do here in the tribe at Export Protech, we all step up and stand in for each other, because the show must go on, and that's what it's all about. We're all here to share our knowledge of the industries that we're from, and just share with you watching this right now some great tips and advice around a certain topic. And it's very much like a group of people sitting around in a coffee shop having a general conversation. And today's topic is something that I am not very good at. So I hope our panelists here this evening are going to help me with this. I'm going to lean heavily on them. Hope you guys are ready, because it's something I'm not very good at. It's habits of highly successful entrepreneurs. And I must say, I have read the book, and I'm forgetting who the author is right now, but what's that, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Well, yes, I read it and probably should read it again. So this, I think, is a great topic. And habits are those things that form our behaviors, forms what we do, and helps us actually create the success. And I'm sure everybody's going to share some great insights with us today about great habits of highly successful entrepreneurs, tips, how to adopt them, how to get those great habits in place. And it's very simple. Any one of our panelists who'd like to add something, they can put their heart emoticon up and we will cross to them and we can do it. So right now, everybody, if you would like to add something on our topic to get us going this today, then please put up your heart emoticon. We can hear from you all about habits of highly successful entrepreneurs. And we'll start straight out the bat with the big guns. Mr. Stephen Levy. Habits, I'm terrible. Please help.
Thanks, Chris. Not quite the big gun. There are a lot of big guns here. So the reason I just quickly put it up, because I think the topic is awesome. It's so relevant. And I have to unfortunately hop off in 10 minutes. So I thought I'd like to just share lessons that I learned that I took into my own businesses. And that was from running the Comrades Marathon. So I called it the Ultra Entrepreneurship. And there were 12 or 13 lessons that I learned from that. So I'll just go through them quickly with you, of course. The first one was to understand why, know what you're striving for and why you want to achieve it. Have absolute clarity on what that end looks like. Get a clear understanding of what it takes to get there, and be prepared to do whatever that is, because entrepreneurship is a tough journey. Be open to learning. And when you're learning, be selective who you're learning from. So learn from people that have been there and beyond. Learn from the best. We have access to that. The other thing that I learned from that was listening. Listen to those people that are in the arena, not the people that are outside of the arena, and then make your own decisions and be accountable to them, because everybody will have a lot of valuable input to give you, but at the end of the day, you've got to take what works for you. And then, very important to set key milestones for yourself on your journey so that you can focus on these. Because it's not that you have to reach them, but they serve as a guide and a reference point for you in order for you to keep on track. Because sometimes we have to take detours. Life happens, as we discovered in 2020. But always keep the end in mind. And then the other thing was commit. Make a commitment to just starting. Go for it, because that's the only way you're going to get there. Belief. Whilst we know nothing is guaranteed, 2020 taught us that, but never stop believing that you can achieve it. You have to believe through the whole process that you will achieve it. Take great care of yourself. As entrepreneurs, we tend not to. I've done it twice. It's not a very clever thing to do. You actually do need to take care of yourself if you want to take care of your business. and the people that you're working so hard for. It's also a lesson that I learned from that was about the right people. Surround yourself with the right people, those who believe in you, those who are prepared to support your journey. So whilst it is a lonely journey, it cannot be traveled alone, and make sure you've got the right support in place. And then have a measure. I suppose that goes back to those key milestones, but always measure where you are. So constantly review and reflect. I think that's a very important part of the entrepreneurial journey. And we need to make more time for that, and not to be scared to make any adjustments if necessary to create the highest probability of achieving that which you set out to. Sorry, excuse me. Second last one was, I'd call it beyond limits, because with commitment and dedication to a strong purpose or why, we can push ourselves beyond that which we think we are capable of. We all can, and I truly believe that. And the last one was just take ownership, responsibility, accountability, and commitment to all of the above. And I think that will really, I think if one can subscribe to that, and I'm sure everybody else has got something, a lot of other things to offer, it will create the probability of you being highly successful on your journey. So that's Stephen from Dare to Be Coaching and Beyond, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to jump in first.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Levy. And okay, so it's not looking too bad, because right now I have some of those habits that you mentioned. I at least listen and surround myself with the right people, especially my friends. I don't call them tribe members anymore. I call them friends that are here at Explore Protech, because they are the greatest people that are there and always championing me. And interestingly enough, they always even just drop that message just to say, how are you doing today? I was thinking about you. So those are some good habits to have.
I think it's also to be consistent in them, Chris. Consistency is key.
I agree.
Maybe I'm really going to shut up.
Okay, but I want to maybe abuse you for a little bit longer and make maximum time. I read an interesting article actually today about habits. And what the person was saying in the article is that they had habits, but they didn't set a project. So if I could do the example in your case, like running the comrades, that was your project, but the habits that you needed to achieve that project was to run a certain amount every day, to eat healthy, etc., etc., etc. Can you weigh in on that as well?
Well, I think that I referred to was those key milestones. So I think it's have a clear vision of what the end goal looks like. So when I did it, is I'd never been to Durban, and that's where it was from Pietermaritzburg to Durban, but I had a very clear vision of what Kings Park Stadium looked like. And I even had a vision, because from pictures that I cut out of magazines, because there wasn't YouTube in those days. And I'm giving my flippant age away. And then I also had a very clear picture of what the overhead digital board looked like with my time on that I wanted to run. So that was extremely clear. I also knew where I was relative to where I wanted to go. So with those 2 points, I was able then to plot what those milestones were, what milestones, in answer to your question, I had to achieve to give myself to be well prepared to achieve what I wanted to. And I say that because there's no guarantees. And that's one thing I did learn on that day, because over 90 kilometers, anything can happen. It doesn't matter how well prepared you are. And I think in our business journey, we need to see that as well. And that's, I think, where the constant review and reflect comes in. We need to constantly review and reflect where we are. But yeah, I think key milestones, Chris.
Key milestones. And that consistency, like you say, because that's what makes the follow through. And again, give yourself a break sometimes. Yes. Be prepared for the unprepared. Things might go wrong, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Levy. I see that Janine Lingenfelder, who I haven't seen for a while, so I'm glad she's joining us today, is got her heart up. Janine, as a motorbike races by, what would you like to share with us?
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, I just back up what Stephen has been saying in terms of measure. because at the end of the day, if you can't measure, how are you going to know what's working and what's not working? And entrepreneurs, that I do believe that is beyond vital, is to know what is working for you and your business. And another key thing is to take calculated risks. If you can take calculated risks as an entrepreneur and make that a habit, I can promise you're going to learn, but you're also going to grow very fast. I'm Janine from Delani Sales, your virtual sales office.
Fantastic. Thank you, Janine. There's so many different things and variables I think everybody needs to take into account, because you got consistency and key milestones and your big goal and your why and your this and your that. And I think it's very important that you mention that you can't manage what you don't measure. And unless you know what's happening, you got to measure it and see where things are, and then you can only adapt and change from there. And I suppose that also could help somebody find their path as to what kind of habits they need to also incorporate, because they know what's working and what's not working at the same time. Somebody who I'm sure is going to give us a different perspective here on this one is Mr. Brian de Castro. What do you have to share about habits with us?
Well, Janine stole one of mine, but I'll speak to it anyways. I can share what I notice in people in my inner circle that do these things really well, that I'm completely just impressed by. And if I could take a pill that would make these areas better for me, I would. One is focus, like just staying focused on the main thing. Right, and whatever tasks are involved with staying in focus, just being extremely consistent. And it's boring as hell. That's why I sometimes I really suck at it, because I get bored very easily. But one of my business coaches said, if it's boring, it's probably working. You don't want any drama. But I do agree with growth too. Like, you got to be ready and willing to take on new things and screw things up and learn from the lessons. I find a lot of very successful entrepreneurs I know don't necessarily let go of what's working, what they're successful with, but they're just looking to upgrade. Just upgrade what's working, build to the next thing, replace yourself out of that thing, put someone there, and then continue growing, continue expanding and growing what you're doing. So that's it from me. I'm Brian de Castro, domestic athlete in Toronto, Canada.
Thank you, Brian, who's in charge of our life force and keeping us all healthy on the entrepreneurial journey. Like Mr. Levy said, look after yourself as well. And I suppose the key points that we're taking away here is those key milestones: measure, consistency. Don't be afraid to take risks. Plan for things to sometimes not work out the way you want. And like Brian has said, is stick with what works, even if it is boring, and try to test and see from there. Camelia did have her heart up, and then Janine's going to be joining us shortly again.
Hello, everyone. Saying hello from the west coast of Canada. Hi, Brian, down on the east coast. Well, he's not already on the east coast, but he's on the way there. Great topic, fabulous topic. Agree with everything that's been said so far. Just a couple of things I would add, and I think this probably also connects with the key milestones, is to have a plan. So again, I definitely agree, you have to know what the end is going to be, where you want to be, but have a plan, a 3-month plan, a 6-month plan, a 12-month plan, so that those can be your milestones in what you want to achieve. And also really celebrate the closeness to the match. So you might have a goal that you want to celebrate or that you want to attain, and maybe you don't quite get to it, but you're almost there. So rather than go, oh, darn, I didn't make it, you just celebrate the fact that you're almost there. So that falls right into my next point, with gratitude, which is always being grateful for how far we've come, the fact we have an opportunity to be entrepreneurs. We're not going to a job that's boring and not fulfilling who we really truly are.
You are Pamelia from?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, Pamelia, my company's Vibrational Healing, and I am from Parksville on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pamelia. And I think it's, that's something very important that you mentioned there. Is I call it the nearly there syndrome, or I nearly won syndrome. My family always teases me because I am very much that person when I achieve something, but it doesn't quite fall into the perfect mold or the perfect plan. But hey, I came very close. And they always phone me and tease me when I do feedback, and they say, yeah, Chris, you nearly won again. I was like, well, at least I was on the field and I came in third and didn't come in last. So thank you very much. And I think that's also important. It ties into what Stephen was saying earlier. Is also, no offense to my family, I hope they're watching. But surround yourself with the right people who are going to champion you and put you in the corner and say, hey, yeah, you might not have reached exactly where you wanted to, but you came very close, and well done for that. And to remind you of that gratitude that you need to have through the process. And it's definitely a habit I'm currently trying to work on, is that daily gratitude. Linda Dent has made me make a glee jar. I also have a different...
It's so important. The vibration of gratitude is actually higher than the vibration of love.
Exactly.
Just to let you know.
I promise I'm going to put my glee jar next to me, and then I'm going to have my other jar, which has a word written on it that I can't say on YouTube live, but it's basically a jar where I write things down that I have no control over, that is just what it is. Write it down on a piece of paper, put it in that jar, and leave it there. And then on days when you need that gratitude and something to be grateful for, you open that glee jar and read through all of those things. So that's some very, very good advice. I do quickly want to do a shout out to everybody who's listening live. Big welcome to Lucia and Darlene. Also, Darlene said here, I've spent most of my life being inconsistent, so creating habits has been very difficult. I tend to try to start everything all at once and then stop all at once. 3 days ago, we were barred in with snow. It's over a foot of snow. And today it's mostly melted. And our high today is going to be 18 degrees. So at least happy about that. And I think what Darlene says there as well, which is very important, is don't try and take everything on at once. One step at a time. It's how you eat that whale, one bite at a time, and really just one thing at a time as you go through. And you can't just take on everything. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and change all of your habits and all of your life. I wouldn't recommend it. I see Darren has his hand up, but Janine, I think your heart was up first, correct?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. I just wanted to add with what Brian has said, to be truly great and successful, I think you need to stay hungry as an entrepreneur. And I'm not saying hungry in the sense of just for money, but hungry in the sense of staying educated. Continuous learning is so vital as a habit as well. And to quote Malcolm X, he said that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for today. And I think it's such a powerful thing as an entrepreneur to stay educated and stay with that hunger to be educated through others. I'm Janine from Jelani Sales, your virtual sales office, handling all your sales tasks, helping you with the sales process.
That's very true. You got to stay hungry. Remember that passion and that fire that burns within. I actually had somebody give me some good advice last week, and they said, Chris, where's your fire gone? Where's your passion gone? And it means then you got to go back to the why. You got to reignite that fire and that passion and kickstart everything again. And it's very important to remember to keep that fire going. And there's things to look after it and look after yourself, and then you put fuel on it and keep it going. So it's very, very important to keep your fire burning and your passion there. Talking about fire, passion, dedication, and habits, a man who's joining us all the way from Australia at 1 o'clock in the morning. I really do take my hat off to you, sir. I've got a meeting at 10:15 tonight, and I'm like, oh, it's so late. But it's 1 o'clock in the morning. He's joining us all the way from Australia. Darren, what can you share with us about habits?
Thanks, Chris. I wish I had 11 Rand every time you mentioned the time here, but I wouldn't need to work. Just going back to the YouTube, I think it was the lady talking about habits, and she does everything all at once and then peters out. One thing I learned about putting habits in place is it's really not what you achieve. It's not how much of the habit you do at the end of the day. The more important thing is having the habit in place. And we've all heard, I guess maybe you've all heard, and I don't want to assume anything, it takes 30 days to change habits. So, for example, if you're a salesperson, you need to be doing 20 phone calls a day and you're a bit of a procrastinator, well, just start with one. Start with one phone call a day. And then what will happen is you'll have success with that one, and then you'll make it 2 phone calls a day. And then that'll grow to 3. And next thing you know, you start getting results, you start getting momentum. So you break the mountain down into little rocks, because we all look at this, I've got to do this all day, or I've got to be doing so many postings every day. We'll just start with 1 post a week, then it goes to 2. And I learned this lesson. I mean, I used to be slim and I put on about 70 kilos over a few years. And that's how I learned that habit. I just started lifting the dumbbell. I put it in front of the couch and I just pick it up once and do 1 lift. And the next day it turned up into both hands. And the next thing I knew, 3 months later, I lost 70 kg. But if I had a coach that was pounding me every day to get out of bed at 6 a.m. and run 10 kilometers or whatever, it would have never happened. So it's just putting the habits in a little bit at a time. Just break it down to one little small thing per day or per week, and you'll find the excitement to do those habits will just come naturally because you start getting results. So that's I'm Darren Waller-Smith from B2B Solutions for Growth, and I generate quality referrals.
Fantastic. Thanks, Darren. Yep, what you say there is so important. Sometimes we forget about the small little things, those small little changes that we do consistently, what a big effect they eventually have and how they roll out. And it always starts with that one first small step. It doesn't have to be a gigantic leap or picking up your 100 kilograms or whatever the case may be. Don't even ask me to put that into, and now I'm getting confused with all my metrics and imperial systems, but you know what I mean. But going straight to that and expecting that to be okay. It's those very small changes, those very fine adjustments that you make that make a big difference. Kenton, who's a guest with us for this evening, I'd love to hear your input here, what you can share with us about habits.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys. Been some incredible information and tips so far. I definitely agree with everybody. So for me, I actually struggle with my executive functioning skills and procrastination really severely, probably 2 years ago. And the way that I kind of combated that, and again, kind of ties in what Darren said, little changes at a time, is I would do the opposite of what I would usually do. So for example, what I was notorious for is adding things to my checklist or my to-do list. So if I got an email, I knew I had to reply to it, I'd write, I got to reply to this email. Where the opposite would be, you know what, just drop everything, apply right now, get it out of the way. And then that tied into my morning routine where, at the alarm would go off at 7:30, usually I'd want to put on snooze and sleep in for another 30 minutes. The opposite would be, I'd put my feet right on the floor, go do a half-hour yoga, and then get to it. And over time, I now find 2 years later that just naturally comes to me doing the stuff that I should be doing that helps me towards my business, but just implementing them a little bit of each time throughout the last couple of years and doing the opposite of what I would usually do. Now kind of train myself to just do that the first time.
And you're Kenton from?
And I am Kenton from the middle of Canada in Alberta, and I help brands find their sound.
Yeah, branding. Kenton, we'll definitely do a virtual coffee. I look forward to that. Sound is my passion. But thank you for sharing that, because you know what I like. I think also what it boils down to is when you're looking at your life and your habits and you're trying to do the best, and some struggle with perfectionism or procrastination or this or that. You got to find, again, the right people to be there and support you, and accountability partners. Sometimes you just got to hold yourself accountable, but also find the system or the very thing that works for you. And again, I think that's what Janine was also saying, is take those risks and be prepared to try and test a few things that work for you. But Kenton, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that insight, because actually what you were saying resonates with me and my personality completely. To beat that procrastination and to set up, I like that because I like to be a little bit obtuse and obstinate. So if something's there and I don't, and I normally would write it onto a list and say, no, it's opposite day. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to try that. I really like that idea. So thank you for sharing. And it's definitely all about that, finding the very thing that works for you and testing out. Because we're not all the same people. We all find different things. We've started going on to the topic I wanted to ask a question around is it starts with that first small step. And I think it was Darren who also mentioned 30 days to form a new habit. But how does one go about actually starting new habits? I think we said, you measure it and you work out all the different things that you would like to try, and you break them down into smaller tasks and focus on them and do them consistently. But what can you do to keep going with that consistency and really get those habits going? What suggestions would you guys like to have? Hearts up. There we go. Janine to my rescue. I can segue for days, but I prefer to give you the opportunity.
I think what's important is to make it fun. Because having fun and having a routine of habits is going to keep you in that line to achieve the goals that you've set. And it's going to make you stay focused on your why, which is really very important, because once again, without that, where are you going? So yeah, it's coming back to just putting the fun into it all as well. I'm Janine from Jelani Sales, your virtual sales office.
I do like that. Put the fun back into it, because life is so super serious and we take it all so seriously. And if I've got to do my habit and I've got to change this and I must do this, it's no, I don't think there's not much fun in that. And we sometimes do forget to have fun. And speaking of fun, thank you to Brian to coming to my rescue. 100 kilograms is 220 pounds. Have no idea why I forgot about what a pound and a kilogram is, but anyway, these things happen. It's been a long day here in South Africa. Pamelia, you had your heart up. What can you share with us about how to form those new habits?
Well, I definitely agree with Janine. It has to be fun, but it also has to be something that touches your heart. So I have a habit every morning. I get up, I do a yoga meditation. I am a Course in Miracles student, so I'm always reading either a lesson or something in my Course in Miracles book. And it touches my heart. I listen to Marianne Williamson. I get a daily prayer from Marianne Williamson every day. So it has to be fun, but it also has to be something that's really, really congruent with who you are and how you can connect with what that is. So I would just add that. Oh, and okay, sorry, Pamelia Parham, vibrational healing. I assist my clients in releasing those unprocessed negative or trapped emotions that are causing you to be unhealthy.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pamelia. And again, I think it really does tie into sort of the two main themes that have just come out is really finding the thing that works for you and fuels you. Whether it's, you go find those things. Like my new favorite thing is I'm going to do the opposite. I love that. I don't know why, but that really has stuck with me. I'm honestly going to try that. Watching certain people on YouTube or certain podcasts or doing your yoga, or, one of them could even be taking 5, 10, or no, that's a bit short, maybe half an hour to an hour dedicated time with just you and one of your children and learning how to play and get that inner child out again. There's so many different options, but try those different things and see what really resonates with you and helps you feel better and makes you ultimately successful at the end of the day. Because technically it's a tricky topic because everybody's definition of success is different as well. So maybe you even need to start there as first to find what you want to see as being successful, and then you can break it down into finding the habits that will get you to that. But Brian, I'm sure you've got something else that you could share with us. The man who I've been trying to get into habit with meeting with him, and life always gets in the way, but I will get there eventually.
This is totally my space in the health industry is and then we can apply business concepts to it. So for example, if you're trying to improve your finances in your business, you need to have the data first before you can start impacting things. So one thing I do with people with their lifestyle goals is gathering the data first. What's actually happening right now? And usually I get buy-in from them on the one habit they're going to change over the next 7 to 10 days, and make it so accessible, so simple, so easy, and apply a little bit of accountability. And it's like really forcing yourself for the first 3 to 4 days, but then it takes on a momentum and it just gets going, and then you just can't stop doing it. So that also we tend to choose the item that is the highest yielding. So for example, if sleep is an issue, if you're sleeping and resting better, you're likely not to be craving certain foods. You're going to want to exercise. You're going to be less moody. There's a whole bunch of other things that it spills into. So having all those other benefits tend to come into play as well, just organically. So choosing the right thing, just doing one thing and committing to it, having an accountability buddy will get things rolling for sure. And I find that it goes a long way. I'm about to start a new habit like literally today. So that's the easiest way to do it from what I've experienced so far. So I'm Brian Castro, domestic athlete, your Explore Protech life force leader. And I help you gain the clarity and vitality to align your health goals with your life goals.
Thank you, Brian. And Brian is very, very, very good at what he does. I've still got my list that I need to start with, but it's with me. And it's very much what you were saying is you have to reach a point of where you just do it. It's not a question of putting it off or something like that. You actually just need to make that first step and do it. Once you've identified what it is that you want to change or create as a habit, then you just change that. Also, getting a shout out on the live chat there, that's how I remove. So we're going to go into this view, and everybody who you see and has spoken tonight will be tagged in our description below. So if you want to connect with them and find out more, then you can definitely do so. And evidently, Kenton is a different special VIP guest tonight. He's going to be working with the tribe to help us produce our own new song, which we're looking forward to. So that'll be fantastic. Looking forward to connecting with Kenton as well. Just checking on our live stream if there's been any other further things. Darlene saying that she was trying to learn the piano, and agreeing with Brian that yes, accountability buddy is a very important thing to have. And I think again we circle around to surrounding yourself with the right people. Read many books, and one of the big themes in there is to look at the people you surround yourself with. So when you've identified what you see as what's successful and what you want to be, and that's in line with all the things that you want to achieve. And if the people you surround yourself are not there, it's going to make your environment very difficult to achieve that. So it's important to go find that group, find that tribe of people that you can connect with and really will be there, and that accountability buddy, the people there who are going to support you through everything and help you find what are those right good habits for you to adopt. So I think what we do is, before we wrap for this evening's coffee shop show, let's go around the room with everybody and just your one tip, one habit tip that you could share, the one thing that you can think of as a takeaway for tonight. What would that be? I'm going to throw Janine under the bus because I can.
Well, I actually put it in the chat, is to literally just start. That's all it is just start. Even if it's with one, just start. That's my tip.
As Brian says, show up. So show up. Put on that power suit or the heels and the lipstick or whatever works for you, and just show up and do it and start. Because something is always better than nothing, as we often say. Brian, your final thoughts to share with us.
In addition to what we've discussed so far, another thing is just allow it to happen, right? Once you do you're consistent with all the right things and you're showing up, you just need to get out of the way and allow it to happen. So that's what I could share.
Darren, what can you share with us?
Start with small steps, small chunks. Doesn't matter about the result. It's the habit. Habit's the key. Getting the habit in place, and then the results will come from that. too many people focused on the results, but you need to get the habit started and keep it going. So small chunks.
Amelia?
I just put that in the chat. Having an accountability buddy, I think, is perfect. That's so important. I have an accountability buddy, colleague, friend, and we meet every Monday morning to start the week off. And we have our list of things that we're planning to do for the week. And then we report back the next Monday as to what we did get done. So it's great because you have a checklist. That's another one it works for me to check it off that it's actually got done. There's something about that actual physical check mark that makes it real for me. So yeah, accountability buddy is perfect.
Well, I did see, I read a lot of these, but I read another article this last week. In fact, I think it was a TikTok, to be honest. But they said that whenever you achieve something, it gives you a hit of, Brian, you can correct me if I get the hormone wrong, but dopamine. Every time you achieve something, you get that hit of dopamine, which is a really good hormone that makes you feel good and like you've achieved something and keeps you in the game. So it's good to have that accountability buddy. I've noticed with one, what they actually do is I come to those meetings and I go, so my list was this long and I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But what they often do is turn around and say, yes, but look at what you did do. You did do this, you did achieve that, you did get that right, and you got that right. So you didn't do too badly. And that also what helps with an accountability buddy. Kenton, as your final thought, you can say it again because I love that advice. But if you have something else to add, you're welcome to.
Yeah, so I guess there's the do the opposite. That was a big thing, especially when you're trying to make the change. I feel like having a goal that's so big that you almost have to change not who you are, but how you operate to achieve it is such a powerful thing. And then tying into what Darren said about the habits being the most important thing, that is so true. And then when you focus in on that, then you slowly start seeing the results. That's what becomes almost this snowball of like, you get addicted to the results. And then, you even want to put more effort into the changing what you're doing because you see the results start to happening. And that kind of keeps the wheels moving and keeps you, motivated to continually do that. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Well, I think we've given a lot tonight to share for, I keep saying tonight, but it is today, with everybody that they can take away and help them in their journeys on this entrepreneurial journey of getting things right. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There's a group of people that you can connect with. You're welcome to check us out. Our details are down below, but find a group of people that you want to surround yourself with where you feel good, safe, you can be yourself, and they can be there to help you with great tips and advice like this that we've shared in one conversation. I always say, never underestimate the power of a single conversation. It is always, always very important. So thanks for watching. So our panelists, thank you for joining us. Kenton, if you could drop your LinkedIn link in the chat, that would be great, because then I'll be adding all of our panelists for this evening in the description down below a little bit later this evening. And we do this every Monday at the same time. It's the Coffee Shop Show, where we just have a chat with our tribe members and highlight them as industry leaders, and they get to share some of their knowledge with you. So make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and we'll see you again same time, same place next week, Monday. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
There we go.